Now that Dark Souls 3 has been released in the West for some time, it's worth taking a close look at level design and mechanics. The Souls series has become well known for its densely twisting, often surprising, and always challenging level design. The worlds of the Souls games are a little bit of a paradox, labyrinthian yet compact. Even though this is an analysis of Dark Souls 3, it's important to know beforehand what aspects of Dark Souls 1 and 2 that this game borrows and refines. We'll draw comparisons to those games when it's helpful. Dark Souls 3, being the newest game in the Souls series, stands to benefit the most from past experiences, while building an immersive world. It takes inspiration from all previous FromSoft Souls-style games. Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 1 and 2, and Bloodborne all contribute to Dark Souls 3's design. Since we're focusing strictly on world design here, we'll draw comparisons from Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, mainly in terms of their major travel mechanics, and how these mechanics are integrated into Dark Souls 3. Each of the three Dark Souls games has taken a unique approach to connecting their locations together. Dark Souls 1 is highly condensed and bursting with shortcuts, which are many times crucial for efficient travel, because the player can't instantaneously warp for most of the game, and even then, it's only to certain locations. To use a simple metaphor, it's complexly folded origami. Dark Souls 2's world might look more like the spokes on a bike wheel. The hub offers paths which each continue outward through several zones, before either converging or dead-ending. In my eyes, Dark Souls 3 most resembles a sort of tree branch, one major branch from beginning to end, with many smaller offshoots. In practice, the game's world is an amalgam of Dark Souls 1's origami folding and Dark Souls 2's sprawling, often larger-than-life expanses. It's easy to see the relative differences between Dark Souls 1 and 2 with these flowcharts. Now let's see how they merge to form the world of Lothric. Like Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3 is laden with shortcuts, but with a huge caveat. Such shortcuts in Dark Souls 3 tend to provide expediency within a single area, rather than between areas. You might think of these as intra rather than inter shortcuts. Instead of taking an elevator from Firelink Shrine to Undead Parish, Dark Souls 3 might provide an unlockable door leading from the bonfire at the beginning of Lothric Castle right to the boss room. I don't mean this as a criticism. You can still run from the profaned capital all the way back to the High Wall of Lothric if you really want to, but my point here is that there's no physical shortcut that directly connects them. Luckily, we now have fast travel via bonfires, just like Dark Souls 2. Not only do we have this fast travel via bonfires, but Dark Souls 3 allows, and indeed requires, the player warp between bonfires from the very beginning of the game. Dark Souls 3's first area is literally a closed path to the game's hub, Firelink Shrine, which has no direct access to any other areas beyond it. To me, this is very strong evidence that instant travel between bonfires was a decision made very early on in development. If bonfire travel were added later in development as a convenience factor, then the entire world would have to be traversable by foot, which is simply not possible in the game's current state. In fact, it makes perfect sense to design the game with this mechanic in mind, because it allows a huge amount of freedom from the outset. Unexpected moments or dynamic set pieces can be constructed without needing a way to untrap the player at all times. Just slap a bonfire down and you're good. There's a second reason this mechanic works so well, and it involves the progression system, but we'll come back to that in a second. There's a great set piece moment entering the second phase of the curse-rotted Greatwood fight. The boss destroys the ground you're fighting on, plunging the both of you into a hidden chamber far below the boss arena. When you're victorious against this boss, you find that you're in another dead end, and the only way to leave is to use a bonfire or a homeward bone. The fact that you are now trapped here is actually lore significant for the Covenant that's found here, the Moundmakers. This mechanic echoes the fight with the Stray Demon in Dark Souls 1, where you fall through the floor of the tutorial boss's arena to a brand new area below. But in that case, the level design had to account for players who couldn't yet warp between bonfires. This means additional time creating a logical return path on the map, even if that time might be better spent elsewhere in development. I can imagine how wanting to do these really crazy things with level designs kind of pushes you into a creative hole if the player always has to be able to travel by foot, requiring all sorts of fine touches to make this passage feel fluid and natural. This example with the curse-rotted Greatwood fight is exactly the case with Dark Souls 1's fight with Nito. You jump down to the arena, another dead end, except by this point you are required to have activated bonfire travel. This means the arena can be designed however the developers see fit, without needing to worry about making an exit or an elevator that could potentially interfere with their intentions for the fight. This is a small point, of course, and purely speculative, but I feel it was worth mentioning. That second reason for bonfire travel we mentioned just a minute ago, progression, also mandates the instant travel system. There are currently 5 games in the Souls-ish series, and 4 out of those 5 require you to return to the hub anytime you want to level up your character. The exception here is Dark Souls, where you can level up at any bonfire. And when you look at the level design of that game, it kind of makes sense, because for the first half of it, there is no form of fast travel, only shortcuts. If From Software wanted to require you to return to the hub in Dark Souls, they would have probably needed a fast way to travel to the hub from every single area of the game. Not only would this be a level design nightmare, but it would cut off a lot of avenues the game uses to establish its world and atmosphere. As a simple example, Any passage to or from Blighttown requires you to manually traverse the zone. There is a chance you'll die just short of a bonfire, probably from toxin or poison, and be forced to do it again. But at the same time, the satisfaction that you feel when you're successful may make it all worth it to you. But that's entirely subjective. Dark Souls 3 has plenty of bonfires. It even has 2 that are in adjacent rooms. Each boss of the game, once defeated, spawns a bonfire in its room, so you always have a direct route back to the hub to level up, without needing to risk tens or hundreds of thousands of souls to enemies or gravity. Gravity is by far the hardest enemy in Dark Souls. So if your reward for defeating the Dragon Slayer armor is a bonfire, but the next bonfire is literally visible from where you're standing, then one of them isn't strictly required. Because of the bonfire rule, we end up with 2 of them here almost touching. While it is mildly humorous to look at, I think it's important to understand that the location of a bonfire is typically incredibly important. It has to be accessible from many points on the map, and it must be free of enemies who could aggro you from your sitting position. Dark Souls 2 had a bonfire with 3 hollows nearby that would kill you repeatedly. Cool. Real cool. I assume the 2 bonfires business here was done out of convenience more than anything else. It's certainly more convenient to spawn a little bit closer to the Grand Archives if you're currently working through that area, especially since there isn't a single bonfire in the area itself until you defeat the boss. But there is a shortcut that leads you to the boss room from the bonfire, but it's the Dragon Slayer armor bonfire, not the Grand Archives bonfire. I want to quickly step back to address the instant bonfire concept. I know a lot of fans are split on whether instant bonfire travel is a benefit or a detriment to the Souls formula, and I encourage you to hash it out with others in the comments of this video. This issue has a lot of moving parts, but for our purposes, a very simplified pros and cons list for bonfire warping might be as follows. It reduces unnecessary travel time through areas that are either no longer challenging, excessively large, or otherwise not enjoyable. If you're in Anor Londo and decide you want to get some new equipment from the vendor in Blighttown, you're looking at a lot of running. And if you die halfway there, you might do what I do. Rage quit with Alt F4 as a paltry revenge for my own poor combat skills. This would be a pro in my opinion. On the other hand, free travel between bonfires reduces the immersion of being totally lost in a world and struggling to survive until the next bonfire. And some might say that it diminishes the relief we feel when we've persevered through to reach one. This is obviously very subjective, but I know that many people enjoy exploring new areas while feeling totally lost, only to stumble onto a bonfire when they're at their wits' end. This is probably a con for most people. Of course, Dark Souls is renowned for its difficulty. You're vulnerable whether you're in a boss fight or simply running around killing normal enemies. I've died to the hollows and the dogs in the undead settlement just as many times, if not more, than I've died to the cursed rotted Greatwood. Warping does allow you to bypass sections that might otherwise break the pace of your experience. Again, thinking back to Blighttown travel here. In other words, warping can help to attenuate difficulty, but only in areas you've already passed through. So even though we can bypass the challenge of backtracking, this leaves the challenge of new enemies, environments, and traps virtually untouched, which I think many consider to be the more interesting kind of gameplay anyway. I mean, does anybody prefer backtracking to exploring new areas? This doesn't make the game any easier. In fact, because you're not forced to backtrack, areas only have one chance to make an impact on you, and their challenge can be even higher as a result. Pro? Con? Let's just split the difference here. My conclusion from all this is that Dark Souls 3 essentially has 2 means of efficient travel: instant bonfire travel and baked-in shortcuts, usually in the form of elevators or doors that must be unlocked or activated from farther on in a level. Gone are the days of zigzagging through shortcuts upon shortcuts upon shortcuts, perhaps running from Firelink Shrine to the elevator down to New Londo Ruins, up a set of stairs to the Master Keyable Door, to the Valley of Drakes, to the entrance of Blighttown. While these kinds of options certainly make for a more non-linear gameplay style, your average Dark Souls player is going to get a lot more mileage out of a shortcut that takes them close to a boss's fog gate from the nearest bonfire. The fact that instant bonfire travel even exists almost makes in-level shortcuts a bonus, rather than an absolute necessity. In the Undead Settlement, you can always take the underground sewer passage to get from one side of the level to the other, but the fastest way to travel is to find a bonfire and then teleport to whichever bonfire is closest to where you want to go. Irithyll of the Boreal Valley has a relatively central bonfire, but by unlocking the shortcuts in this area, you have a relatively straightforward path to the fog gate, letting you bypass certain crazy powerful groups of enemies. I would probably die more just trying to get to the boss, rather than actually fighting it. These kinds of efficiencies help to widen the appeal of the game, strengthen the pacing of the game, as well as simplify the player's progression. The fact that Dark Souls 3 manages to do all of these things without feeling dumbed down in any way is, in my opinion, a great accomplishment. But there is just one slight criticism I have about the world of Dark Souls 3. As fun as it is to breeze through zones you've previously completed, you're almost never incentivized to retrace your steps or to revisit areas. Most NPCs that provide you a service can be recruited to Firelink Shrine, with very few exceptions. There are a few cases where you can acquire the gear of an NPC whose questline you have somehow finished, whether you killed them personally, got them accidentally killed, or somehow angered them to disappear for the rest of your playthrough. The Havel set is actually hidden in just such a way, meaning that without outside guidance or information, the average player isn't going to find it. That is, of course, unless they decide to backtrack to areas they've already completed. Of course, all of the secrets and mysteries in the Souls series, while sometimes extremely obtuse, are still a huge selling point for me and many fans, generating discussion and jolly cooperation all the time, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So that's Dark Souls 3's world in a nutshell. It takes the best mechanics from both previous iterations of the Dark Souls franchise and blends them to synergize with the complex level designs that we have come to expect in this series. I've heard it said before that Dark Souls 3 is in many ways a best of all the Souls-style games that have come before it, and it's easy to see this in almost every part of the game. And while I still cherish the compact world design of Dark Souls 1, I couldn't be more thrilled that Dark Souls 3 has managed to create a uniquely styled world all of its own.